Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. It's February 16th, and today we're going to talk about planting turmeric. I was out running around yesterday and I decided I needed more seeds. Now, uh, for some of y'all, if you've seen how many seeds, you probably say not. But like most gardeners are addicted, maybe new to varieties, maybe you want to try something new. I got me a few more flower seeds and I got me some ornamental gourds. We'll see how that comes out. And I got another pumpkin variety, so I'm going to try to put up some pumpkin this year. But this one here, they say, is particularly good for the seeds. And if anybody's done any research on seeds, uh, you'll know that they're good and healthy for you. But stop by a feed store because I was in a bigger city, and I picked me up a few more uh, seeds. Now they package theirs prepackaged their bulk, but there's a lot of seeds in here. Now I needed some more lettuce, so I picked me up some bib lettuce, and my romaine wasn't germinating good, so I got a new batch of it. Well, I've got half an ounce of romaine seed, which is a lot of romaine seed. This package is like half full, and it cost me $2. I'm telling you, if you can find a local uh, farm supply or feed store, normally they've got seeds in bulk, and it's a lot cheaper. I picked me up some more poinsettia cucumbers. I like the way they produced and tasted last year, so I figured I'd get some extra seeds. And I got me some extra seeds for Israel cantaloupe, which is uh, it's a, actually, I would say it's more of a muskmelon or a honeydew. They call it cantaloupe, but it's green inside. But what we're talking about today is uh, turmeric. There happened to be ad on Facebook Marketplace, been there for a while. There's someone local grows them a big old garden of turmeric every year organically. And so I went by and got me 3 pounds. Mine that I bought last year, I bought online, supposed to be good and fresh. It didn't do very well at all as far as didn't have any production off it. It just kind of rotted in the ground. So I've got this. It looks like some good stuff. And we're going to go out and we're going to talk about how to plant this. And before we leave the workshop here, we planted these on the 9th. And so it's been about 7 days. These are some more onions and some leek. My one leek seemed to be studded from too long in the container, so I decided to plant some more. I figured I'd plant some more 1015 Ys. We lost quite a few. Mainly, I'm going to use these for uh, green onions, and I planted some uh, crystal wax, which is a white onion. But they did real good through the freeze. But these will make a good green onion. Okay, we're out here in the garden, and we're out here, and this is the part of the garden. If those of you that follow along, this was the part that was new last year. Same time whenever we started the Victory Garden, and then we cleared this out and put this in. Now, all these beds have been revitalized with compost, except this section here, roughly up to this flag. It hadn't had another coating. It's good. It's in good shape, but it's going to need some more. That way it'll be in better shape. But what we're going to do is we're going to take and go ahead and plant this turmeric, because you plant turmeric roughly about 2 to 3 inches into the ground. So uh, we'll plant it just a little bit shallow, and then when we come back and we lay our top coat of compost over it, it'll put it deeper, and it'll work out just right. But that way I can go ahead and plant it. Now, turmeric, a lot of places tell you to plant it October, November at the end of the year, and that's great. You can do that and let it start forming its roots and go. But you can plant this on up into, like this time of year, on up into the spring if your soil is workable. So that's what we're going to do. Just happened we got this at a time when we've got a day that we can plant it. Tomorrow is the weekend, Saturday, and then Sunday, hopefully, we're gonna put our potatoes in, and we'll do a video on that. But what I'm gonna do first is lay this turmeric out. And before I do that, and I'm like a little kid, I pull my wagon everywhere. But before we lay it out, now you plant it roughly about a foot apart. And now I might not plant a rhiza this big. I might cut this into smaller, but you don't want real little turmeric. If you have real small pieces, chances are you might get some of them to germinate, but a lot of them will just kind of rot in the soil. They won't have enough energy to come out. Now, where this roots out is where you see these tips on here. You can actually see this one here is kind of looks a little white. That'll be a good one to be active to come out. Now, when you harvest it and replant it, it's a little bit different. You really save the mother because the majority of the roots are on it, and it does better that way. But when you're planting it, you just buy turmeric and you just take and plant a piece of it, and we'll go through that. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of lay these out. They might be more than a foot apart, could be less than a foot apart. I'm going to lay them out. That way I've got a good idea of what I can do with this 3 pounds. This row here is about 20 foot long, and we're going to put all this turmeric in this one area here. Okay, let's get started. You can just break this apart. Like I say, I want to keep kind of big pieces. I don't want real small. We'll pick what we think's best. I got my knife here, so it's easy to cut some of this apart. All right, we've kind of got it scrolled out, give us an idea of what we're going to do, and we'll just start down here. Make sure you weed good in your area. You don't want a bunch of weed that have to compete with a bunch of weeds. And as you can see, it doesn't take much. Of course, it depends on your soil. You might have to have a trowel if your soil is a little stiffer. You might have to have a trowel to dig that soil and get it in there. It looks like we've got a good bit of turmeric in here. Now, say you plant this about a foot apart. You can plant it as close as 8 inches is fine. I'm putting it about a foot apart, and hopefully we'll have good germination on it. We'll find out. Now, I do have some roots in some of these areas because if you remember, this was where my celery and my cilantro was. And we can kind of run a test if we get down to where we don't have as much room, or we don't have as much turmeric to fill up the area that we have. We can take and put some further apart and see if it tends to do better with a little bit distance versus close. But this at roughly about a foot apart. This is going to have plenty of room to expand because this rhizome will get pretty good size. And for those of you that aren't familiar with turmeric, which you can cook with it, but you can also use it as a medicinal herb. They call it maybe the herb of life or youth or something, because its benefits that it has tends to promote longevity and good health. So I know the Indian culture, which they grow a lot of it, but it is used in a lot of their cooking, Indian cooking, and that is in India. That's not American Indian, but in India. So if you're wanting to start gardening, or start your garden, you've been gardening, but you want something that you can plant now. Now, if your ground's frozen, for sure you can't put it in there, but in regions like mine, this will come back every year. Of course, you do want to harvest it, and in order to harvest it, you'd want to do that in the fall. Usually it dies back, and then that's time to harvest. You don't want to wait too long and leave it in the ground, especially if you're in a moist area. These no-dig compost beds are just so nice. Now it looks like we might put these ones a little further away, see how this does. If it makes a big difference or not. Then we don't have enough to put them at that same rate. So, well, if we leave it in ground and cover it over, like I say, there's a lot of roots. I leave, we're going to spread this out over here. I leave my roots in the ground when possible. Some things I can't because I do have a lot of root knot nematodes. And the problem when you have root knot nematodes is they get in the roots, and the best way to cut down on the population is to take and pull your plants and roots and all out. The roots are beneficial to keep your microbiology having plenty of activity in there. They'll use those roots, organic matter, to feed on. But there you go. It looks like our turmeric is planted. That's one more job out of the way. Now all it is water it in, and it'll be ready to go. And don't worry about it. It'll pop up whenever it's time. Once this ground warms, when it's in there and it's moist, it'll start setting its roots. But like I say, when the ground warms a little bit, it's going to come up, and it's going to be a wonderful crop. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you want to watch more of my videos, of course, there's a lot in the playlist, and I think there's over 500 videos on my channel, all about growing or self-sufficiency, preserving, stuff like that. And if you want to see more, of course, subscribe, hit that bell, select all, give her a big thumbs up, and of course, share this video. Enjoy that gardening experience.